Welcome back. I want you to think about a time where you're talking to other adults and your kids are with you or one of your kiddos is nearby, and then you notice in the background they're they're doing cartwheels or they're kind of tap dancing in between you and the person you're talking to. Or maybe they're even making a really horrible noise that everybody in the place can hear and they're all looking. Maybe you're even in Target or some store and they're just making a big fuss and everybody's stopping and looking at what's going on. Can you picture that? Are you feeling that feeling yet inside of you? That tight, squeeze, the thing that just makes you want to get out the hammer of parental authority and smash this thing down? That is the feeling that attention seeking can really give you. And it turns out that the feelings we get from that are a really big cue to find ways to stop it. So we're going to take a look at that today, at attention seeking. And actually we're starting a new series now where we're going to look at the goals of kids' behaviors and being able to look below the surface of what they're saying and doing into what's the message they're actually sending through that. I know that saying that can sound like, well, sheesh, I'm not an expert in this stuff. How am I supposed to know that? I'm just a day-to-day parent here. You don't have to be an expert in this stuff. This is not as complex as it may sound. And in fact, you've already got some experiences with this that you just may not know. If you think about things like someone crying, if someone's crying, it can mean lots of different things. They could be crying because they're sad. They could be crying because they're hungry or because they're feeling helpless. And you would meet those needs differently. So that person crying would have different goals. And so you wouldn't respond to it all the same way. So it's similar to what we're going to talk about today. There is a really great resource for you that you could look at a website called positivediscipline.com. I will put a link in the description below you can take a look at. There's a chart there called a mistaken goals chart. And that would be a really good thing to take a look at. I'm not going to be following that directly. It's just sort of a springboard that we'll use. But you can take a look at it, and it may really help you hone in on what kind of things might be going on with you and your kiddo. So if you think about attention seeking, it's a problem that comes up a lot. You can kind of go by a general rule here for this. When kids feel great, then their behavior reflects that. They act great. When kids feel terrible, then they act terribly too. So when kids are doing things that are negative that we don't like, usually it's because they feel bad about something or there's some conflict they're in that they may need some help with. So let's do this. We're going to take a look at some different kinds of attention seeking that could come up. We're going to look at what is that kiddo doing? How does that make you feel? And knowing that that's going to be a clue into how you can resolve this and get it to stop. What is the message that kiddo is giving you underneath what they're doing? And then is there a way to meet that goal appropriately that they've got? And so how do you respond then based on that? So we'll just walk through those steps. That mistaken goal chart has something very similar to that on there that you could use at home. Okay, to begin with talking about attention seeking, we have to get something out of the way. And that is, you really have to ask yourself the question honestly, am I spending time with my kids? Do I have individual one-on-one time with my kids? And I'm not trying to condemn anyone, and I don't mean any condemnation by it. But if you're not spending time with them, then all the techniques in the world are not going to be very helpful. You really have to have a consistent diet of having some time with your kids. I know it's hard to schedule things, and we all have really busy lives, so I don't mean to add pressure, but I'm saying that this one is so important, I would set aside a lot of things before I would set this aside. So I posted a previous video called Playing with Your Family Can Change Everything, and that is really true. In fact, a lot of families wouldn't need counseling at all if they just would have some connected and fun time together as a family. It would really resolve a lot of issues. So please take a look at that. Please ask yourself if that's something that you're doing. If you are doing it, make sure that this is time that is uninterrupted, you're guarding it, It's time that can't be earned, so they can't do anything good to get that time. And it can't be taken away either. It's not going to ever be removed as a punishment. This is for free. And you're giving it to them. It orients them toward positive attention so that they're not seeking negative attention. Or if they're already seeking negative attention, this helps reorient them to be able to get some positive attention without having to do the manipulative stuff. Okay, so negative attention seeking. There are so many examples of this that I'm sure you've run into and that I've certainly run into. So one that's just kind of a basic one is maybe I'm at a place with my family, maybe we're at a meeting or something, and my kids are along, and then I'm talking to an adult, and so pretty soon at some point I feel this tap on my arm or a nudge, dad, 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 and so my kids are trying to get my attention. I'm going to feel impatient and might be irritated or annoyed. I kind of just want them to stop. So let's just take that, okay? If you pay attention to your feelings in these situations, this is going to give you some clues about what's going on so that you can do something to stop it. My feeling is impatient. I'm irritated. I'm a little bit annoyed. I want that to stop. If I think about it objectively, I think my kids want me to stop talking. So I am getting the same feeling really that they're having. They feel irritated and annoyed. They're ready to go home. But it feels funny to them because there's a power balance that they don't know how to really work. So, we're bigger than they are. They don't know how to do this. So they're just trying to get my attention to help them out so we can go home. So in this case, if the message is, hey, I need help, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to do this situation, then I can stop. If their goal is to get my attention and get my help so that we can leave, they have a concrete need, I can just tell them, I can just give them a plan and tell them what's going to happen. Hey, guys, I can tell you want my attention. I can tell you you're ready to leave. I need to talk to this person for 10 more minutes. There's some things we have to talk about, and then we'll go, okay? And I know you might feel antsy to go, so if you'll just find something to do for 10 minutes, we'll be able to go. If we have to keep stopping to have this conversation, it's okay, but it will mean it takes a little bit longer for us to go. So how's that sound? And then you're letting them go on their way. So that's something that might get a concrete answer and sort of a concrete plan to help them know there's a way we're going to go here. I remember I was with a brother and sister who really had a hard time with each other. They'd fight all the time. But the brother would do this funny thing where he would throw a ball past his sister's head. He was really never trying to hit her. He just wanted it to go zipping right past her head so she couldn't ignore it. And so every time he did that, she'd turn around and say, stop doing that. And so she'd sound annoyed and impatient. And I watched them do this for a bit, and I'd be reflecting some of that stuff back. Boy, I can see you really want her to pay attention to you. And then at one point, he just kind of said, well, yeah, I want her to play with me. And when he said that, I thought, oh, okay. So it's not just that you want her attention. You want her to play with you. Yeah, but every time I ask her, she says she can't because she's busy. So he's trying, this kind of blends into some other possible goals. He wants to have some power. He wants to show her this need that he's got. But we'll stick with the attention-seeking part. So he's throwing the ball to get her attention, so she has to look at him. She can't be engaged in what she's doing anymore. She has to look at him. And then she has to tell him to stop. So he's getting some attention, and he's relatively satisfied with the negative attention he's getting. But once we kind of put this together and said, oh, okay, and he's saying, yeah, I just want to play with her, but she never can. So again, this is one where if we can look at his goal is he wants to play. He doesn't know how to make it happen because she's telling him no. She feels annoyed. She wants him to stop, but she doesn't know how to make it stop. Well, that's the same feeling he has. He doesn't know how to make her play with him. The truth is, he can't make her play. She has to choose to. So he's got to treat her more nicely than he is. And so he got tuned into that. And he was able to learn how to say, hey, so I know you're telling me we can't play now, but when can we? Okay, well, we could do it in 10 minutes, she'd say. Oh, okay. So now, just like with my kids, now he has a plan. So the response can be, here's when we'll do this. I can't do it now. Okay. And then he could move on and make it 10 minutes, and then they could play. When you have things like this, where someone has a very concrete need that could get met, sometimes you just can give them a plan and you can just move on. They're just sometimes trying to get your attention to a problem they don't know how to solve. So that is one of those messages. I need some attention on this problem I don't know how to solve. I need your help. So your response can be to help. But sometimes kids, they will want your attention because it's the only way they can feel important. They feel insecure, so they want to make sure nobody else can have your attention. They have your attention alone. I can think of times when, I've called friends on the phone, and just as we're talking, all of a sudden, everything that can go wrong goes wrong. Things in the background are getting spilled, and kids are yelling at each other and fighting, and things are breaking. And 5 seconds before the phone call, everything was perfectly fine. And the person on the other end is saying, well, I don't know what's going on. Everything was fine a couple seconds ago. Well, they're trying to secure their parents' attention. They don't want it shared with anyone else. They want to lock that attention in to themselves. So when you think of how that feels, you feel, controlled or manipulated. You might feel overwhelmed. You might feel like it's not going to stop, or like you can't get away from this thing. You feel kind of trapped sometimes. So that is a clue to some of what they're feeling in the message that they may be sending to you. So if you're with a kiddo who they feel insecure and they need and rely on other people's attention to feel important, think how that would feel. You'd feel trapped. You'd feel overwhelmed. You feel like you can't get enough. No matter what you do, it doesn't seem to work. You can't get away from this feeling. So a lot of times we're having the same kinds of feelings, just from a different perspective. So, in this one, it can be hard because you yourself can feel like this black hole feeling, like it doesn't matter what I do, it's never going to be enough. They're just going to keep asking me for more. And this is where making sure you've got already a source of positive attention happening is so critical. Because if they have a source that's coming, that's predictable and consistent and regular, they don't have to keep pecking at you to beg for crumbs of attention. They know that something good is going to come, and they can hang on till then. So very, very often in situations like this, I will try to find a way for a child to have a role. So it could be a role in the family, or it could be a role with something that I'm doing. Let's say I'm cooking dinner and they're just kind of pecking away at me for my attention. I might be just saying at first, I can see you really want my attention, but it's hard because I'm cooking dinner right now. I'll tell you what, there's some things I've got to do that I think you'd be really great at. If you'd come be with me in this, we could do this together, and it could be a lot of fun. So now they have this meaningful role that they can take on and do this with you. The thing to watch out for with this, if you give a kid a role that's just sort of placating them and giving them a role that's not very useful, usually they can tell. So you do want to give them a role that has some kind of use. I know some things just don't have that many useful roles. Just do the best you can. Sometimes with this too, it's not always that you have to give them a role. You might even just reflect back what you're seeing and hearing, and then have confidence that they'll solve this themselves. So I might even just be saying, boy, I can tell you really want my attention right now. Feels like you really want to make sure nobody else can have my attention, just you. But I've got to do this thing right now, so that's going to be hard. Well, I know you'll find a way, and then we'll get to spend some time together later. Being able to show that you have confidence in a kid's ability to solve things themselves really can help build their self-esteem, especially if they're feeling insecure. But if this is a manipulative thing, just know that they may keep coming back at it a few times. They may test you to see if you really mean that. So just stick to it, keep with that, and be very consistent and predictable, and that will help. Sometimes I will have experiences with kids where it will feel like an emergency, like they, I got to have your attention now. And then I get the emergency feeling too. Dad, you got to come solve this right now. There's this thing right here on the internet I got to figure out right now. And boy, so then I feel that squeeze and I feel this emergency. And sometimes I almost feel like I just want to push myself away from it. But they're feeling like they just want to pull me into it. So I'm probably going to reflect that back. I'm going to use my feelings to get a clue about what's going on for them. Boy, this feels really important to you and urgent, and you want my attention right now. And depending on what's going on, maybe this is a thing I can actually help them solve. Maybe this is a time I need to express confidence in them. Maybe there's a way that I need to give them a role and we can do this together. So those are the beginnings of some ways that you can look beneath what kids are doing and saying. So remember, when they're doing something, pay attention to how it makes you feel. That's a clue into what their goal may be. Once you get a sense of that goal, then you can ask yourself, is there a way to appropriately meet this goal? And that'll tell you how to respond. If a kid is saying, hey, this is an emergency, can you come right now? And I come over and all they need to know is how to fill something out on the internet. Well, that's not an emergency, but their goal is that they need some help. They don't know what to do. Is there an appropriate way to meet that goal? Well, sure. Sure there is. I may not be able to do it this very second. I can certainly give you a plan. I can certainly find some ways to respond to that. I hope that this is helpful and that you'll find some ways to practice this with your own kids. Take your time. This takes practice. And so the first time you try to do this, you're going to probably just get blindsided by your own feelings or their feelings. That's okay. Just keep coming back to it. Keep practicing this. You can look at that mistaken goals chart. There's another video called Organizing Feelings you can take a look at that is a great way to reflect back the things that you're seeing and hearing. And you can look in the description below. I'll have a link to that also. So I wish you all the best in this. Go try this out. Go succeed. Go fail. Keep trying again. You'll really see some great results when you pay attention to what their actual goals are. Because when you meet those, then things get resolved and it doesn't need to keep happening in the same way. Take care.